This is going to be my reaction video to the Ravens' 27-24 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Just a classic AFC North game, if you ask me. I thought the Ravens really outplayed the Bengals throughout the first half, but the Bengals just stormed back in the third quarter. Thought you could kind of tell after that second possession of the third quarter that our defense was wearing down. They did get one stop, a 3-and-out, I believe, late third quarter, early fourth, which ended up being important, kind of the difference in the game. I think there was guys who made plays today who maybe are not considered stars. Illustrates the depth of the roster. Clearly, the players and coaches coming in prepared. But first of all, I mean, Lamar Jackson. Wow. If you were to watch this game and try to evaluate it fairly, and you're not a Lamar Jackson fan, you could say he's getting better. Now, he did have a fumble today that we were very fortunate to get back. So that could have been a third turnover in 2 games. That's an issue. I said that last week after the reaction video that it looks like ball security for multiple guys might need to be worked on. Nobody else did. That's a situation where we don't want Lamar to fumble it, but it ended up not counting. And this game, in the end, I think illustrates what NFL defenses have to do in order to try to deal with him with a completely healthy roster, which we didn't have today offensively, but was good enough to get the job done. You can't rush 4 and expect to prevent him from converting third downs with his legs. It kind of removes some of the options. And then some of the throws today, just incredible. The big one to Zay Flowers in the third quarter was much needed. That was a moment in time where the Bengals were surging. The touchdown to Andrews a few plays later, I feel like that one was kind of a sidearm throw. I'm not sure. OBJ and Bateman both looked dangerous early on. The slot fade to Aguilar was a beautiful throw. Maybe his best throw of the day was an incomplete pass to Duvernay against Awuzie, who got beat twice today on the slot fade. Duve beat him that time, but his coverage was good. It was a half a step he beat him, but if Awuzie doesn't hold on that play, and it should have been called, it's probably a touchdown. And then Aguilar beats him. Perfect throw from Lamar. Lamar was the engine today, that's clear. Mark Andrews returning had an impact. Touchdown catch, and an amazing catch, momentum swing on a 2nd and 23, I think on the Ravens' 7th possession. I think late third quarter, early fourth, somewhere around there. The Bengals had closed to 2017. This was an important play. There was a penalty, created a 2nd and 23, or maybe it was a loss of 3, I believe, on a penalty, and then a loss of 3 on a bubble screen to Zay Flowers. And then Mark Andrews with a 20-yard catch creates a 3rd and 3. Gus Edwards converts on the next play, running downhill. Gus was crucial today, I thought. 10 carries, 62 yards, with 3 very important runs, or 3 runs that had a lot of impact. First drive, he caps it on a 2nd and goal from the 1. I think the Ravens go 22 jumbo, and what I mean by that is 2 tight ends, but the second tight end is an eligible offensive lineman. It looked like Falele was eligible off the left side. I don't ever hear players being reported as eligible. I feel like sometimes on broadcasts they do that, but today they did not. But I felt like it looked like Falele was eligible, and Gus crashes in on the left side behind Ricard for a 1-yard touchdown to put the Ravens up 7-0. We'll let some stats run, talk about Gus's other 2 really important runs. 7th possession, this 2-play sequence that I'm talking about. Andrews, big catch on a 2nd and 23 over the middle for 20. And then it's 3rd and 3. In the NFL, what is 3rd and 3? Is it a rundown? For the most part, teams are in 11 personnel and throwing the ball. Now, we've got a guy at quarterback that we can get in 11 personnel. We can do that, and he can scramble. If you don't play a coverage that puts pressure on him and contains him and collapses the interior of the pocket at the same time, then he can get out of there. We didn't do that. We went under center. I think 12 personnel. It might have been 21. Gus powered over the middle through contact, 3 yards. He converted a 3rd and 1 on that same drive. The drive I'm talking about is the 7th possession, which Lamar capped with the 3rd and 5 touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, who, like I said, had beat Awuzie badly on a slot fade. And that's, for me, I think Awuzie's a fantastic corner. But that route, the slot fade, is clearly becoming a favorite of Lamar and Munkins. Zay Flowers, Duve, and Aguilar were all targeted on that route today. Gus played a big role. The defense I'll talk more about later, but back to Lamar, the poise that he showed, having all these guys contributing around him. This really reminds me, people talk spread offense. A true spread offense is what we saw today. Multiple guys having a lot of touches. Those defensive stats there, for some reason, are cut off on the left-hand side, so I made a mistake clearly. You can see the player's last name, but not all of their first name, so my apologies. I really want to categorize the three things the Bengals attempted to do to defend Lamar. Too high, category one. Too high, soft zone or split field coverage, usually tagged with a four-man rush. I felt like this is what we saw a lot of early, at least through the first quarter and a half. Lamar would have time to scan. He would find receivers, 6, 8 yard gains. And when he couldn't, he had time to navigate the pocket because I thought the pass pro did a nice job today. And then, yeah, Lamar, there was a point in the game where Lamar scrambled like 3 or 4 times, not in a row, but the Bengals defenders were there. It was like one play was a 5 yard gain. The next one was a 3 yard gain. I feel like those situations are when teams play a four-man rush and zone behind it so their defenders can be supported in order to tackle Lamar, meaning an inside-out leverage player, an outside-in leverage player, and maybe somebody to run the alley and kind of cage him. That's category one. Category two is what I thought the Bengals did a lot against the Browns last week, and also what the Browns did to the Bengals last week, which is man free with a five-man rush. Bring five, maybe a stunt. Man free, free safety over the top. Everybody else manned up. Trying to eliminate the threat of Lamar scrambling and be able to cover the wide receivers tight. The dynamic of the Ravens offense against the Bengals defense has changed. OBJ, Bateman, Aguilar, Andrews can win those matchups. Not even to mention the star, Zay Flowers. The Bengals, for the third category, also showed some sticks blitz zero. It seemed like for the most part when they showed sticks blitz zero, the Lamar would check to something else, and then the Bengals would switch to a different coverage. You would see people move. Can't wait to see the all-22, and how many times that happened, I don't know. It felt like it was 4 or 5. They did run it one time. They being the Bengals, they did run the true sticks blitz zero one time on a 2nd and 10 on that 7th possession, which I thought was incredibly important. The Bengals ran it. Lamar identified it, hit Aguilar on a slot slant for a 9-yard gain. Very next play, because like I said, that was a 2nd and 10. Aguilar 9 yards over the middle. Very next play, 3rd and 1. Gus converts it. 3 plays later, Aguilar beats a Woozy. 17-yard touchdown makes it 27-17. Bengals backs were up against the wall there. They did respond in the second half, clearly. I'll talk about what they did in the second half in detail with some data in a moment. But both defenses actually got stops late third quarter into early fourth. And that with the Ravens offense going 3 and out after gaining possession with a 10-point lead with 9:36 left in the game. At that point, they're forced to punt. I don't know about you. I thought, okay, the defense played very well in the first half. Third quarter, I thought we were getting worn down. We punt after a 3 and out, and I'm worried, to be honest with you, because that Bengals defense is Bengals offense is super talented. They have guys who can make big plays. They didn't make any big plays in the first half, none. Made some in the second half, but they weren't 40-yard gains. Mixon had one big run. Higgins had one big catch. But for the most part, you saw pass plays completed over the middle, in breaking routes, near the hash, over the linebacker level. In the end zone, look, the Bengals wide receivers they got open on some back shoulder fades. Really, some of them are fade outs. It's supposed to look like a fade and ends up being an out. It's just a read by the quarterback and the receiver. They're just difficult to stop there. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Thought Rock Ya-Sin played one of them magnificently to force an incompletion. Thought the Ravens DBs, speaking of Rock Ya-Sin, Darby, Stevens, Geno Stone, I thought they battled. The Bengals offense came to life in the second half. Their possessions after halftime went like this. 8 plays, 58 yards. That's the interception in the end zone by Geno Stone or on the goal line. 8 plays, 58 yards. 13 plays, 75 yards. 3 plays, 5 yards punt. 16 plays, 80 yards touchdown. That was to get within 27-24 with 3:28 left in the game. So in the second half, the Bengals scored 2 touchdowns on 4 possessions. Could have had a third. Burrow throws an interception or Stone gets an interception on the goal line. They did score 2 touchdowns, but it took 40 plays to do so. 40 plays for 218 yards, 5.45 yards per play. That's a pretty big sample size. They're a talented offense. They're going to make plays. But the reality is the way the Ravens defend them works. This is the larger point that I want to make, even though I think the Bengals, deserve credit for doing things in the second half. to take advantage of what we were doing, gain some more yards, score some more points. They could have had 3 touchdowns, like I said. What we're doing defensively works. This is 4 games in a row when the Ravens have held the Bengals down from a big play standpoint. What Mike McDonald and the guys out there are doing is making them work, making them compete for every first down, limiting their big play opportunities. It's not as simple as just saying, oh, they're playing too high safety structure and that just solves it all. They've got to be disciplined. They've got to understand formations and routes and how to relate to them, particularly when we're playing split field coverages. We did a large, I think, video on this in the offseason. I do expect the Bengals to try to adjust and exploit what we're doing, but we're talking about 240 minutes of this Ravens defense against Burrow and the Bengals since McDonald was hired. And here's what you've got. Today, Burrow was 27 of 41, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He played well, especially for dealing with, whatever injury he's got that he apparently maybe aggravated. The point is, the Ravens make him earn it. They make him make constant decisions pre-snap and post-snap just to earn an 8-yard gain or a 6-yard gain on a completion, whatever. They're trying to make him less efficient. For the day today, the Bengals had 282 yards on 57 plays, so 4.9 yards per play, 60 minutes of football today. I think 7 or 8 possessions. Let's go back to last year. Week 5, 2022, sorry. Burrow, 24 of 35, 217, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Bengals averaged, you guessed it, 4.9 yards per play, 59 plays, 291 yards. Nearly identical across the board. Stats, average yards per play, total yards, total plays, Burrow's efficiency. Week 18, the regular season finale. Look, the Bengals had control of that game. They're up 17-0. We roll in there with our third-string quarterback. Here's the stats. This is factual. I'm not making this up. Burrow, 25 of 42, 215 yards, 1 touchdown. Overall, in that Week 18 game, Bengals offense averaged 4.0 yards per play, 257 yards on 64 plays. At that time, after that game, leading into the wildcard game last year, I remember people saying on Twitter, YouTube, the Bengals offense was vanilla. They didn't show what they can do. They held things back because we're playing 2 games in a row. I explained the next week, wildcard game. Bengals won 24-17. Give them credit. They very easily could have been in 2 straight Super Bowls. Wildcard game, Burrow, 23 of 32, 209 yards, 1 TD. Bengals, 4.3 yards per play. 234 yards on 54 plays. You could interchange all those stats that I read from a game-to-game basis, and most of us, myself included, wouldn't be able to tell you which game it was because they all look the same. The Ravens are doing a great job from a tactical standpoint, forcing Burrow to make a lot of decisions. I think one of the announcers even mentioned that today. Maybe it was Matt Ryan. Let's do it points scored-wise, all right? 4 games, McDonald's defense versus the Bengals. Points scored, 17-20 by the Bengals. 17, 26, 24, 24 today. Now, 2 of those are defensive touchdowns. One of them was the strip sack of Anthony Brown in Week 18, and the other was the game winner, Sam Hubbard's 99-yard fumble return in the wildcard game. Subtract those, and I'm just going to talk about offense scored, points scored. 77 points scored by the offense in 16 quarters of play against this brand of Ravens defense. 38 drives, 77 points. McDonald and these guys have just done a wonderful job. They have. They've done a great job of forcing Burrow to make multiple decisions on each play, do that quickly, navigate the pass rush in some cases, only to net an 8-yard gain on that play. Now, the Ravens only had 1 sack today, I think 3 quarterback hits. I didn't think we got a whole lot of pressure on him for real, but he's getting the ball out quick. That's what he does. That's kind of the point of the defense. This is just an example, statistical example, to illustrate how good a job these guys did today, even though the Bengals surged back in the second half and offensively had us on the ropes. They've just done a wonderful job. I do expect the Bengals offense to try to adjust, and they'll certainly improve by the time we face them in Baltimore on Thursday Night Football in November. That's a tough team. Like I said, they could have been to 2 straight Super Bowls. That would be a rare achievement. It's a great group. And for that reason, this is an unbelievable win for the Ravens. It's a great win. Without Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, OBJ goes out after looking fantastic early on. No Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams on defense. Odafe Owe didn't have an impact. I have no idea why. It didn't seem like he was on the field. These guys competed. I don't know about you. It's a really proud day to be a Ravens fan. Offense closing the game out after the Bengals got to 27-24 was impressive. I think the brand of defense the Bengals are playing under Lou Anarumo is still very good. Potentially, it could be even better as the season progresses. But for today, Lamar and Ty Monken had all the answers. From a tactical standpoint, the dynamic has shifted dramatically in this matchup. 2001, when Burrow and Jamar Chase set records on us in the two games, this rivalry, I think, is now worthy of being labeled one of the best in the NFL, at least for me to watch. I enjoy it. Having said that, there were some weird moments from a referee standpoint and from a player standpoint. Lamar has the fumble in the second quarter, negated by hands to the face on a Bengals D lineman. He did clearly get his hands in Simpson's face. CTB gets called for a weird hold or DPI in the end zone on OBJ. Maybe OBJ drug him down. I think those two happened on the same drive. Lamar later on, in the second quarter, burst through for like a 20 or 23-yard run on a quarterback draw, which was there today. And there's a hold called. That might have happened twice. The one I'm referencing, the Ravens had to salvage a field goal late second quarter, last play of the second quarter, to take a 13-10 lead on the field goal by Tucker. You had the punt return by Charlie Jones, who was a superstar at Purdue in 2022. I think the Bengals draft was low-key really good. This is an interesting play. Two refs threw a flag on the same interaction, the same apparent block, and they both picked it up. I've never seen that before. I'm not saying I think it should have been called a penalty. I've only seen the replay once while I was taking notes. But I've just never seen that before on television or in person. And I don't know how many games I've been at in person in terms of a coach or scouting. It's probably a couple hundred. And I've seen some weird things by refs, but never two flags picked up on the same play for the same infraction. I saw a ref in high school allow a kid to take the kickoff out of the end zone, which is illegal. It's an immediate touchback when the kickoff goes in the end zone or a punt. So you can't do that. He returned it for a touchdown, so we ended up losing that game. I saw another ref, when I was scouting, go to measure for a 4th and short. So it's like 4th and 1, team goes for it, really close measurement, and the ball looks short. I saw a ref walk up, tilt the ball forward. Imagine putting a football on the ground, it sits flat. And then rolling the ball forward to get the point of the football on the ground, not the widest portion of the football. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. And then declare it a first down because the point of the ball was even with the... I've seen that. I've never seen two flags picked up for the same infraction, which, again, I don't personally know that it should have been called a penalty, but they threw the flag, two of them, and then picked it up. There was another hold on the Bengals. I thought O-line looked very soft. So there's plenty for Ravens and Bengals fans to talk about and discuss and complain about, I'm sure. Reality is, for us, it's a great win, a really fun game to watch. This game seems right in line with the games from last year. The only difference is our offense is more efficient, offense is more dangerous, and Lamar just played sharp and impressive game that, again, illustrates the difficulty you have matching up with our near full complement of players. No JK out there for a long time. Andrews returning. Maybe he's not 100%. Maybe he's close. OBJ leaves, missing two of our offensive linemen. I think the matchup of Monken and Lou going at it is going to be fun tactically to watch. I take notes during the game, so I have to rewatch the game during the week. I usually try to rewatch it on Monday before the All-22 comes out, in case I miss something live while I'm typing, so I know which plays to go grab from the All-22. It'll be interesting for me to witness those two guys in the rematch, Lou and Monken, how they adjust to each other. A couple guys who have to be pointed out before we go over a couple of drives. Geno Stone, I feel like he's really played well when he gets the opportunity, going back to last year. I think late 2021 he actually played at safety some. If I remember correct, he had an interception against the Steelers in 2021. And I believe played some against the Rams at home in that game that the Rams won when OBJ had the 4th down catch and then the go-ahead touchdown catch. This is not really just about the interception that Stone had, which was critical. It's a great moment. I'm not sure. You can tell me what your perspective is. It looked like from the broadcast angle he could have maybe cut it back to the middle of the field under Ojabo's block on the left sideline. But you never know, what's there in terms of flow, in terms of offensive players closing on him, and he just decided to take it out of bounds or maybe ran out of gas. But besides that interception, Stone played physical. He's really committed to coming downhill and making tackles. His reads are great because he doesn't get beat deep, at least from what I've seen, and he comes down and makes tackles. Clowney playing hard, attacking. Stacy in our Discord thought Clowney dropped out in coverage some. I didn't see that. Again, I'm taking notes, so maybe I just missed it. But if Clowney's doing a good job playing against the run and rushing the passer, and he's dropping out in coverage like Stacy and some other guys said, that's a complete performance, and I can't wait to see the film. I didn't think Queen and Smith impacted the game from a statistical standpoint. So really, again, I can't wait for the film to see what was going on. Burrow early on used a lot of horizontal screens, basically as outside run plays. Maybe it's pre-snap read by him, run play to one side or pass to the opposite side. Later on, I thought there was a lot, as the game developed, there was a lot of completions over the middle, and I wonder what was going on. My immediate perspective is it seemed to me once the run game got going for the Bengals some, third, fourth, fifth drive after halftime, the pass game over the middle to the hashes seemed to open up as well. Maybe the linebackers were moving. Oweh, confusing. No idea how many snaps he played, but he only had one quarterback hit. I didn't feel like I saw him out there a ton after he played with a lot of force last week. Our O-line didn't give up a sack, I don't think. Now, Lamar's a part of that equation, but I thought those guys did a good job. Didn't seem to be nearly as much pressure as we had on us last week. Let me know if you guys saw it the same way. Aguilar, 5 catches on 6 targets. To me, he looked quick and decisive in his route. The touchdown versus Owuzie, I mean, that's kind of scary if you're watching this Ravens team. Bateman, Flowers, OBJ once he returns to health. And I'd be cool if they sat him down next week. I don't want lingering stuff with him. Sit out next week, let somebody else play. If Nelson Aguilar can do this against a guy like Owuzie, that's a big win. And it almost feels like I've compared it to the Golden State Warriors, where it would bring them dudes off the bench and they would score 18 points, hit 4 to 5 threes. Duve did have a half step on a great throw by Lamar in the first half. I mentioned it earlier on. I thought Owuzie grabbed him. Duve tried to make a one-handed catch. Could have been called for a penalty. At times, I thought it looked like Joe Mixon was getting free in the run game, particularly on same-side runs. But the Bengals only finished with 66 yards on 14 carries. Yeah, that's 4.4 yards per carry, but the overall impact was not detrimental throughout the game. I do wonder if the Bengals are going to start using some different personnel groupings to counter what defenses are doing, because it looks like the same concepts over and over again. I know it's not. That's very simplistic. But when they're lining up in 11 personnel, their options seem limited. That's what it seems like, even though they got a lot of talent. Now, it was scary when they put Chase in the slot to the boundary. Queen is over there to the boundary. No nickel defender outside of him to help. That looked dangerous to me. I wonder how much they're going to explore that. Higgins and Boyd combined for 14 catches. They made some nice plays over the middle. Higgins beat Darby on that back shoulder fade out in the second half. I thought Darby was in position, and there was some contact. I don't know if Higgins extended his arm enough for it to be a offensive pass interference. Darby was trying to complain like it was. I only saw one replay. Higgins is a matchup problem down there, but to me, Darby seemed to compete for the second week in a row. Big pickup. Brandon Stevens, I can't wait to see the film. We got a defensive pass interference on him for a 26-yard gain to Chase. I mean, it's Jamar Chase. Does it surprise you that he would give Brandon Stevens problems? No. I didn't see him get picked on. Did you guys? I don't know what we're doing coverage-wise. I don't want to say to hide that because that's disrespectful to Brandon Stevens. He must be playing well. He had 12 tackles last week. Can't wait to see the film. Makari and Mustafa, I didn't see much of a drop-off. I mean, Mustafa, like Bears fans, had a lot of things to say about him, most of which were not good. We were efficient. We got things done in the red zone. 3 of 4 touchdowns, I believe. Let's get to some of the possessions and some of the plays that I thought was notable. Ravens' first possession. I mean, we open it up with a great mix of short passes and run plays. First play of the game, Lamar, boom. Shotgun, complete to Likely, who I didn't think had to catch the rest of the game. 3rd and 2, Lamar complete to Andrews. First possession, Andrew looked good there. We line up in this 1st and 10 from the 47, 6 play down from the top. We line up in spread ram. Actually, we lined up in a dummy formation, motion to spread ram, which is our draw formation. That's been our draw formation last year under Greg Roman. It's one of the plays that Monken has retained. He lines up in it. I saw a Bengals player point, might have been inside linebacker. It's a fake draw. And that's what Monken's about, man, is planting seeds and then making you wrong. I love it. I love it. Fake jet on the very next play, a 2nd and 3. 2nd and 3 from the 40. Fake jet and Gus downhill for 17. And we are rolling. We got a hold, I think, over the middle. A defensive hold on a 2nd and 8 was incomplete to OBJ, which could have created a 3rd and 8. As it is, we run another pin pull pitch for a 6-yard gain. End up getting down there 1st and goal. Justice Hill up the middle, -1. And then I think we go 6th O-lineman, 22 jumbo, well, I call it. 2 running backs. So it's Ricard and Gus. 2 tight ends, one of which is the 6th offensive lineman. That's the jumbo, 22 jumbo, 1 receiver. And we run off left tackle. This is the 3rd time, if I'm correct, that it's a 6 offensive lineman on the field, that when Monken gets down there inside the 5, he goes on either unbalanced or brings a 6th offensive lineman in. So that's interesting. I'll do a video on that this week. If you've caught it or you understand it differently from me, feel free to let me know. Took a 7-0 lead that was shocking. Get a shocking in how complete it was. How many guys touched the ball? How many different concepts there were that we executed. Ravens had great field position on their 2nd drive and a missed opportunity for me. We get a 3rd and 10 on the 41. You're dealing with the Bengals on the road. It's 1st quarter. I hope I would have the guts to say this in front of the Ravens coaching staff. We should play for a field goal in some of these situations. It's 3rd and 10. We go up top to Flowers on a slot fade. A little bit overthrown maybe against man free, so it's incomplete. And then Tucker has to try a 59-yarder. It's no good. Tucker from 59, I still like his chances. What do you think about Tucker from 54 or Tucker from 53? I'm not saying that we should assume on 3rd and 10 we can get a 5 or 6 or 7-yard play, either a run or a pass. I'd like to see us call something to get 6 yards and play for a field goal. You may not like that, but I sure would like to be up 10-0, and I'd like to be up 13 late in the game instead of only up 10. Ravens defense got another stop on a great play on the Bengals' 2nd possession. Geno Stone tackles Chase on a screen, and then a fantastic tackle from behind Queen on a check down by Burrow on 3rd down. Ravens totally controlled the 1st quarter. I thought Bengals return a punt for a touchdown. Charlie Jones, like I said, 2 flags on the ground. They pick them up, 7-all. Early 2nd quarter. Ravens' 4th possession. Got the rundown there. Hopefully that's the right one. Taking over early 2nd quarter. Games tied 7. We end up getting a field goal, settling for a field goal. But we got Aguilar took a big hit on the first play. 11-yard gain at a twin slot. I thought it was 2 safeties there, to be honest with you. Great point by one of the announcers. I'm not sure who it was. I guess maybe it was Tiki Barber, who said this looks like and I've said this many times about Lamar, he'll throw the ball behind his receiver in situations where he's trying to prevent them from taking a big hit. So I don't like, Lamar doesn't make anticipation throws. That's not an anticipation throw. I see my guy running this route. I know where I'm supposed to throw this football, but I can't, because if I do, he's going to get hit by that safety. Hard. Could get hurt. Ball could pop up in the air, be a pick. So he throws it on the backside to protect this guy, but still give him a chance to make the play. I feel like that's awareness. I might be wrong. 3rd and 1 on the same drive from the -45. It's the 4th play down for you. A bunch right A. Man, I got to do a video on that one this week. That's one of Monken's favorite formations. Likes to run the ball to the A side and then run it just enough to the weak side, away from the bunch, to keep you honest. We run power on 1st and 10 after Hill gets 2 yards to convert that 3rd and 1. We run power on the next play, 1st and 10. Weird handoff between Lamar and Hill. It almost looked like Lamar had the ball in the wrong hand for a second. I'm not sure what that was about. And then he adjusted real quick. 8-yard gain for Hill. Off tackle left side. I think he spun off of one guy. A bubble to Flowers right side. He juked a guy on 2nd and 2 for 11. Bateman open against zone. We go 3rd and 3. Pin pull pitch to the left. We were actually under center there, so it's not pitch. We're actually under center. And I think there's jet motion going to the right. Lamar opens to the jet, kind of makes it look like he's going to hand off to the jet, and then pitches it back to Justice Hill. I got Dax Hill written there. That might have been one of the tackles when Dax Hill tackled his brother. Bengals' 3rd possession. They got things going, tied it at 10. Long drive starting from the -25. They did convert 2 third downs, and then a huge play by Rocky Sin. 3rd and 5 from the 9. Again, Ravens are still up 10-7. Backside, man-to-man against Jamar Chase. And I love it. Rocky Sin competing, gets his hand in there, kind of rips it out. Almost kind of slams, pulls Chase down to the ground. I don't want to say slams, but pulls him down to the ground. Ball comes out. Chase hit the ground hard, so Bengals have to settle for a field goal. Short field goal from the 9, 10-all. Ravens' 5th possession. able to go down there and get a 40-yard field goal to end the half. Unusual possession. We had the hold on Simpson. I think it was Simpson. We had the QB draw, big gain, maybe 20 yards, another hold, a drop by Andrews over the middle. At that point, I don't know about you, it's 2nd and 30, 13 seconds left. And I'm like, man, let's just get a field goal, 3rd and 30 from the 33. We run QB draw, which in some of these situations is going to be almost an unstoppable play from the standpoint of gaining 6, 8, 10, 12 yards a pop, especially with Gus in there, man. I thought Gus looked good as a lead blocker. At halftime, I wrote, the Ravens have a 13-10 lead. Bengals haven't made a single play on offense, really, big play. We've ran 44 plays, and we're only up 3. That was a little ominous for me. My notes at halftime, Bengals had been in a lot of softer zone coverages on early downs and some man pressures on third downs. The difference was Lamar was able to make plays with his movement and his agility, and in those cases, pick up some first downs or get close to it. All right, Bengals' first possession of the third quarter is the interception where they're driving down to potentially take the lead. They had a 31-yard gain on their third play to Mixon, a design play out in the flats. It looked like Ardarius came on a blitz, like he thought it was going to be boot. Running back kind of crosses his face, goes underneath. 31-yard play. 11-yard gain to Higgins, so they're getting things kind of rolling. 2nd and 8 from the 17. Burrow throws it over the middle. Geno Stone jumps it. Gets going down the left sideline. I don't know about you. I was like, man, he's going to take this thing all the way. On the broadcast angle, you don't see anybody else, so it's easy for me to say, like, why are we running out of bounds? But I guess we'll see it, from the all-22. Maybe there was guys converging. So we get the ball, 6th possession, and we're up 13-10. 10:39 left in the third quarter. Immediately go up top. Designed to go up to Flowers, 52 yards. 3 plays later, 3rd and goal. Andrews, touchdown, 3-yard touchdown. One of the safeties was there to challenge, but he got in. 20-10 lead. Right around that time, they announced OBJ's out with an ankle injury. You're like, oh, this sucks. Bengals go right downfield. Converted a 3rd and 3 to Chase, easy. Converted a 3rd and 4 on a blitz over the middle to Boyd. 20 yards to Higgins. And you're like, man, they're shredding us. And we're able to get them down there, 3rd and goal. Higgins beats Ardarius Washington. I think Higgins was in the slot, leaping catch. Real problem for Ardarius to match up with that. I didn't see Ardarius as involved today as last week, but it doesn't mean he didn't play well. That's a difficult matchup for him against Higgins. 20-17, and the Bengals are surging. They got a lot of things going, and the Ravens answer on their 7th possession. I thought this was the drive of the game. So many people involved. Power with Gus on the first play, 20 yards. 2 plays later, they show sticks. And then they mix it back up when Lamar, I think, tries to adjust. This is 2nd and 7 from the -48. 3rd play down for you from the top. I think Lamar tries to check. The Bengals adjust. And Lamar gets 8 yards on a scramble. Another scramble ends up being a 10-yard loss for us. I thought the scramble was like an 8-yard gain. We get the 2nd and 23 situation. I don't think the ball was actually on the 49. I think my yards are wrong there. I think the 2nd and 23, the 3rd and 3, and the 1st and 10, those 3 plays in a row in the middle of the screen, I think the yard line is wrong there. I believe I corrected it. Maybe I took the screenshot before then. But 2nd and 23, complete to Andrews for 20. Gus converts that 3rd and 3. We're under center. We took away the threat of Lamar to run there, and we just beat you. That's interesting to me. If this team can line up in 3rd and short, and they can just beat you without the threat of Lamar as a potential runner, without spreading you out with one less tight end on the field or one less fullback, that's going to throw defenses a lot to handle on a week-by-week basis. 3rd and 1, Gus runs downhill after we beat Sticks blitz 0 over the middle for a 9-yard gain to Aguilar, like I talked about, and then fantastic throw by Lamar. 3rd and 5, touchdown. 4th quarter ends up being in our favor. It was a fun game for me to watch. Maybe a little disconcerting at times, especially when they go down and score to make it 2017. Especially when we get the ball back after they've closed to 27-24. And you're like, oh, man, how's this going to close out? We've played well for most of the game. I don't want to say we've outplayed them, but we have definitely had the initiative for most of the game. And then we're able to close that thing out. That 3rd and 3, where Lamar scrambles, the Bengals brought 4. They brought 4, I don't know what coverage necessarily. Lamar scrambles for 12. There was a ton of space. He could have like committed more and maybe forced the issue, maybe got 15, 16, 18 yards, at a different angle, but he just chose to stay in bounds. I think it was a weird slide. I always talk about he looks like a baseball shortstop, but I guess maybe he never played baseball because he doesn't slide too well sometimes. But that was an amazing play on 3rd and 3. And then the 3rd and 2, same exact play on the first touchdown to Gus on the first drive. 3rd and 2, we go jumbo 22, same exact play. I think everything's the same. We're under center, 2 tight ends. The second tight end is a 6th offensive lineman, if I'm correct. And 6-yard gain for Gus. Shades of 2019 from the standpoint of Gus being able to convert things, short yardage, keep drives moving, be another element. Man, if Gus and Justice Hill can give us what they gave us today, Duve on some sweeps, I don't know about you, it's exciting. It's really exciting, especially we don't have Marcus Williams, we don't have Marlon Humphrey. No idea what happened to Ojabo, if he was dealing with something and wasn't able to play, or what the rationale would be behind not playing him more. It seemed like his snap count was low. You guys let me know what you thought of the game if you're as excited. Obviously, I'm very excited. I did like a 30-minute video on the reaction. Ravens go into Cincinnati, beat what I think is still going to be a playoff team, even though they're starting at 0-2. I think they started 0-2 last year for different reasons. Second year in a row. So there's probably going to be some pressure on Zach Taylor to improve or change some things, and they did that last year. I have no reason to think they won't do it again, and I think that Thursday night football game in mid-November in Baltimore is going to be another slugfest. Let me know what you guys thought of the game, some of my thoughts. I probably missed some elements of it. It was a fun one to watch. Can't wait to check out the All-22. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you thought of the video, and if you think other Ravens fans or even Bengals fans would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.